Coffee Break Italian, Season 3, Episode 17. Buongiorno a tutti e benvenuti a Coffee Break Italian. Io sono Mark.
Salve a tutti, e io sono Francesca.
Come sempre.
Come sempre, sì, ma non diciamolo in francese questa volta.
Come stai?
Benissimo, Mark, grazie. E tu?
Anche benissimo, molto contento di essere ancora una volta nello studio.
Sì, che bello, che bello.
Allora, oggi cosa facciamo?
Oggi facciamo, diciamo, una piccola riflessione grammaticale, se così possiamo chiamarla. Qualcosa di cui abbiamo già parlato molte volte, forse solo accennandolo, ma oggi ne parliamo un pochino più approfonditamente.
Okay, so this is something that we've talked about before, but we're going to go into a little more in detail, and I think it's the kind of thing that makes sense because last time we were talking about a particular topic, and this is kind of following on in a sense. It's tying up all the loose ends.
Esatto, sì. We're going to see how words like molto, troppo, poco, tanto work when used as adverbs or adjectives.
So it's going to be relatively straightforward because a lot of this we've covered before, but it will be a great review of things that we've covered before. And it also lets us lay these foundations so that we've covered, in a sense, all we need to know about these topics before we move on.
Esatto, Mark.
Allora, bando alle ciance.
Sì, come sempre, diamo inizio alle danze. Okay, Mark, allora, as you said in the previous episode 16, we talked about indefinite adjectives and pronouns. And we have seen words like poco, tanto, troppo, molto.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting the fact that these words can at times change their endings, but at times they don't. And that depends on the function they have within the sentence.
Whether they are basically adverbs or adjectives.
Sì, esatto. So if they're used as adverbs and what we mean is together with an adjective or a verb, these words never change. They're always used in their masculine singular form.
Okay, so we could say sto molto bene.
Esatto, sì. And I could also say sto molto bene. So there is no need to change the endings because I'm a woman. So there is no sto molta bene. That would be absolutely wrong.
Okay, but if it's an adjective, then we do change depending on gender and number.
Esatto, sì. If these words accompany a noun, so they're used as adjectives, in that case, they must agree in gender and number with that noun.
Francesca, could you give us an example sentence, perhaps where the word is used both as an adjective and an adverb?
Okay, Mark, that's a good idea, so we can compare the two functions. Allora, ad esempio, Lucia parla molte lingue. Parla molto bene il portoghese, ma capisce poco il tedesco.
Okay, I'm sure as our listeners are listening to this at this level, that's a straightforward sentence. So, Lucia parla molte lingue. She speaks many languages. Parla molto bene il portoghese. She speaks Portuguese very well. Ma capisce poco il tedesco. But she understands very little German. However, let's focus on those adverbs and adjectives in there. We've got molte lingue. So which one's that?
So in this case, we have molte lingue. Molte describes the noun lingue. Molte, therefore, is an adjective. And as such, it must agree in gender, feminine, and number, plural, with the word lingue. That's why we have to say molte lingue.
Okay, but the second part of the sentence, we see molto used in a different way.
So in the second part of the sentence, we have molto together with the adverb bene. So in this case, molto remains in its crystallized form, masculine singular.
Okay, so parla molto bene il portoghese. She speaks very well the Portuguese, literally.
Sì.
There's also another word in there, Ma capisce poco il tedesco.
Sì, esatto. Poco is another adverb, and again, because it's referred to the verb capire, when we use molto, troppo, tanto together with verbs, it doesn't matter if it's a woman, a man, a group of people. Again, in this case, we use the masculine singular form only.
Benissimo. Do you want to look at another example?
Sì, let's see more examples, Mark. Un altro esempio è: ho troppa sete, forse perché ieri sera ho mangiato troppo.
Qualcosa che succede molto.
Sì.
So, ho troppa sete, I am too thirsty, or very thirsty in that sense. I'm so thirsty. Ho troppa sete, forse perché ieri, perhaps because yesterday, ieri sera, last night, ho mangiato troppo. I ate too much. Ho mangiato troppo. So there we've got troppo,
Sì.
going with mangiare, ho mangiato troppo.
Esatto.
So there, in that case, it is an adverb. It describes how much you did or didn't eat.
Sì, sì.
But with ho troppa sete, then troppa there is an adjective.
Sì, because it's referred to the word sete, which is a feminine singular, la sete.
Okay, that seems to make sense. Perhaps a couple more examples?
Ok, ad esempio, ci sono tante persone che parlano tanto ma fanno poco.
Sono d'accordo. So, ci sono tante persone. There are so many people. So, tante there, again, used as an adjective. We can see immediately it's an adjective because of
Sì.
the agreement. Tante persone che parlano tanto, that speak so much.
Sì.
And their tanto is coming with the verb, so it's an adverb, che parlano tanto, that speak so much, ma fanno poco, but do very little. And poco, again, an adverb there.
Esatto. And let's see one more example,
Okay.
maybe, to make sure that everyone is happy with this. Mia sorella ha molte amiche, tutte molto simpatiche.
See, this is one of those sentences that I think many learners, including myself, would make a mistake with because the molte and molto seem to be a little confusing.
See, it's very important to notice that in the first part of the sentence, we are talking about le amiche. So, molto becomes an adjective, and for this reason, it has to agree. Mia sorella ha molte amiche. We are describing the friends. In the second part, we are only adding some information to the adjective, simpatiche. And as we said before, when we have adjectives, we don't want to change the endings to the adverb that goes together with them. So, tutte molto simpatiche.
Yep. So think of it as molte amiche. That means many or much. But molto simpatiche means very. So the
Sì.
molto there, the very part, that's the adverb.
The comparison with English is really useful because you wouldn't say my sister has a lot of friends or many friends, many nice or a lot nice.
Yeah,
so that
exactly.
comparison really helps, I think.
Yeah. We've seen then that these words, molto, poco, troppo, and tanto, can all work both as adjectives and as adverbs. And really the important thing is that when they are adverbs, they stay in the masculine singular form, regardless of the situation, who they're talking about and so on.
Esatto. So when they go together with an adjective or with a verb, they do not change.
But if they are adjectives going together with a noun, then they change. They agree, as so often is the case in gender and number.
Sì, perfetto, Mark.
One little thing, and that is just watch with poco, because poco obviously ends in co, and that means if we're making it a masculine plural form, then it becomes pochi, and therefore we need to add in an H in order to keep that C hard. Likewise with poche, the feminine plural form.
Sì, esatto. That's very important for spelling and pronunciation purposes.
Could you give us a quick example of a sentence that includes pochi or poche?
Sì, ad esempio, oggi ho pochi compiti e poche pagine da leggere.
Perfetto. Okay, so oggi ho pochi compiti. Today I have very few pieces of homework to get done.
Sì.
Poche pagine da leggere and very few pages to read.
Sì.
Perfetto.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is pretty much all we need to know about this area of grammar. As I said, we've done this before, we've looked at these before, but this has been an opportunity to summarize the situation, particularly in reference to what we did last time. And hopefully now everything makes sense. After the break, we'll be listening to a conversation in which you'll hear more examples of these words.
In addition to the podcast version of Coffee Break Italian Season 3, we are also putting together a full course on the Coffee Break Academy, where you'll be able to access bonus materials to help you make even better progress with your Italian.
That's right. Not only will you be able to enjoy an ad-free audio version of each lesson, we'll also provide a bonus episode in which we'll go through every detail of the dialogues, and a third episode for each lesson in which Francesca will be testing us with some translation challenges based on the lesson topic. Of course, there are comprehensive notes and a video version of each lesson too. Visit coffeebreakitalian.com and follow the links for Season 3 there. Okay, today we're talking about molto, poco, tanto, and troppo, used both as adjectives and as adverbs. And we're going to be hearing some of these in our conversation. Now, Francesca, this is a continuation, isn't it?
Sì, infatti, this is the follow-up to our previous episode. So we are still in Puglia with our tourist guide Nicola, che fa da cicerone. And today we are visiting Alberobello, which is one of the most beautiful places in Puglia, famous for the Trulli, a very special type of a structure that you can find in that region, which is also part of the UNESCO World Heritage.
Perfetto. Okay, we'll find out a little more about these then as we listen to this conversation. And listen out for the molto, poco, tanto, and troppo, used both as adjectives and as adverbs.
Eccoci, come potete vedere siamo arrivati ad Alberobello. Sono le 11:30 e abbiamo molto tempo per esplorare bene tutta la zona. Siete fortunati perché di lunedì ci sono sempre pochi turisti, quindi potrete scattare delle bellissime foto.
Nicola, possiamo scendere dal pullman? Non si respira qui dentro. C'è davvero poca aria.
Certo, signora. Ora chiedo all'autista di aprire le porte.
Grazie. Ho troppa voglia di scendere e ammirare con i miei occhi questa meraviglia. Ho letto molto a proposito.
Quindi lei sa già che i Trulli sono considerati dall'UNESCO patrimonio dell'umanità?
Scusi, Nicola, può alzare un pochino la voce? Qui si sente poco.
Sì, dicevo alla signora che i Trulli sono molto speciali e sono un sito che fa parte del patrimonio dell'umanità. Ne avete mai sentito parlare?
Sì, se non sbaglio, l'Italia ha tanti siti riconosciuti dall'UNESCO come patrimonio dell'umanità, vero?
Proprio così. L'Italia, insieme alla Cina, è in testa alla classifica, anche se purtroppo poca gente nel nostro paese lo sa.
Wow, guardate, quanti trulli! Sono tutti molto belli e diversi tra loro.
Questo sembra tanto più grande degli altri.
Infatti questo è il cosiddetto trullo sovrano. Si chiama così perché è il trullo più alto di tutti. Se non sbaglio, raggiunge i 14 metri di altezza.
Ma cosa fanno le persone che vivono qui?
Beh, innanzitutto lavorano molto con il turismo. Poi alcune persone si occupano di artigianato, gastronomia e anche attività tessili.
Avremo tempo per comprare qualche souvenir più tardi?
Certo, ma prima che ne dite di mangiare qualcosina?
Sì, io ho molta fame.
E io sono troppo stanca per camminare sotto il sole cocente di mezzogiorno.
Allora seguitemi tutti. Facciamo 2 passi per la via del centro e ci dirigiamo verso il ristorante Vecchio Trullo. Manca poco, forza!
Oh, mamma mia, ho mangiato troppo.
Le mie orecchiette erano molto buone.
E il vino? Vi è piaciuto?
Delizioso.
Si mangia sempre molto bene qui e ci vengono anche tante persone del posto, non solo turisti.
E i camerieri sono molto gentili e sempre sorridenti.
Non voglio sembrare troppo campanilista, ma noi pugliesi siamo così per natura.
Confermo, anche a Taranto ho avuto la stessa impressione. La gente si gode molto la vita, mangia bene e si lamenta poco.
È vero, ma shh, è un segreto che solo poche persone conoscono. Non parlatene troppo in giro.
Un brindisi alla Puglia, allora. Cin cin.
Cin cin!
It sounds like they've had a lovely day.
Sì, such a lovely episode. It makes me want to go to Puglia
Thank you.
now.
So, what happened in this episode? We're obviously going to talk more about it in our bonus episode, and we'll go through each line in detail. But for now, let's just have a little bit of a summary.
Sì, as we have just said, this is the follow-up to the previous episode with our guide, Nicola, and a lovely group of tourists who are in Alberobello today to explore the area.
I was feeling their pain at the beginning because they wanted to get off the bus. And I think it was probably pretty hot in the bus.
Sì, sì, sì. And it's really hot. They can't breathe, but they kindly open the door to the bus, and they are going to see the Trulli, which are part of the UNESCO heritage, as we said before.
If our listeners haven't heard of Trulli, can you explain a little? They're sort of dry stone huts, as it were.
Sì, and people live in there. You can also book a trullo for your holiday in Puglia and use it as your accommodation.
Yeah. Am I right in thinking they've got like conical roofs? Is that the way it works? Yeah.
Sì.
They definitely are very interesting. Do look them up if you're not familiar with them, and you'll probably find, I don't know, on Wikipedia an article about Alberobello and all the Trulli there.
Sicuramente. We also spoke about the Trulli in some of our episodes of the magazine.
Exactly. Okay, so they want to go off the bus. They are going to see the Trulli. What happens next?
Yes, one of the ladies on the tour, she also asks the guide to speak a little bit louder because they cannot hear at the back of the bus what he's saying.
Yep, and so he then explains a little about the UNESCO World Heritage sites and the fact that Italy, along with China, is sort of at the top of the charts in terms of the number of World Heritage sites which they have.
Yes, we're very proud of that. And one of the tourists spots a very special, a distinctive trullo, which is the highest of all. In fact, it's 14 meters high, quite impressive.
Yeah. He then goes on to explain a little bit what the locals do for a living.
Yes, they work in the food industry, obviously, handicraft, and also the textile industry, which is very interesting.
Okay. Now, it is a very hot day, and the whole group is pretty tired. So I think they decide to head to a restaurant for some lunch.
Sì, they go to Vecchio Trullo where they eat some delicious orecchiette and they drink some nice local wine.
It sounds delightful. It sounds delightful. It's not only a restaurant for tourists, though.
No, apparently it's also a restaurant where the locals eat, which is always very reassuring. And the staff seem to be very kind and smiley.
But it's not only the staff of the restaurant who are good-natured. In fact, it's everyone in Puglia, according to Nicola.
Sì, that's what he says. And his impression is also shared by one of the ladies on the tour.
Yeah. I think, did she say that everyone enjoys life, they eat well and complain little?
See, apparently this is the secret for a happy life.
Well, let's toast to that. In fact, just exactly that's what they did at the end. They all toasted to that, and that sounds good to me. Enjoy life, eat well and complain little.
See, seems like the perfect plan for a happy life.
Well, with that, we will almost leave you, but there is still time for ancora una cosina.
Ah, sì, la cosina di oggi. I really like it, and it's linked obviously to Nicola, our tourist guy, and the affection he has for Puglia, for the region where he comes from. And this is something we say in Italian when we want to talk about our home, our house, or more in an extended way where we come from.
Okay, so what is the expression?
So we say casa mia, per piccina che tu sia, tu mi sembri una badia. È un po' difficile.
È un po' difficile, soprattutto quella parola alla fine.
Sì, badia è una parola un po' antica che significa abbazia in italiano contemporaneo.
So abbazia would be an abbey?
Abbey, sì,
okay.
sì.
So casa mia, my house, per piccina che tu sia. So that's a lovely subjunctive, but again, we're not going there quite yet. But however small you may be,
sì.
Tu mi sembri una badia. You seem to me an abbey.
Sì, esatto. So despite being maybe small or having some flaws, for me you are like the best place where I could be.
That sounds very nice. What is the origin of this expression, Francesca?
I'm not too sure. Obviously, abbazia is always a synonym for wealth, richness, because there used to be very rich places. But I think Puccini used this very line in his music, which is rather interesting.
Yeah, I actually find this fascinating because he had a folk song called Casa Mia, My Home, and it is very interesting because through his music and through the range of notes used in this song, he reinforced the piccina aspect of Casa Mia. So he only used a certain limited range of notes, and at the beginning of it goes Casa Mia, just in a fifth.
Wow.
And then he descends there, but the limited range of notes show how small the house is, even though mi sembri una badia, it seems like an abbey.
Wow, I'm impressed, Mark.
Well, I'm not going to sing anymore, which is probably a good thing, perché canto troppo.
Non è vero.
Sì.
Canti troppo bene.
No. We're going to leave it there. Probably safer to do so before I start singing. I hope that you've enjoyed this. Of course, check out the full season 3 on the Coffee Break Academy at coffeebreakacademy.com. But for now, grazie mille e alla prossima.
A presto. Ciao ciao.
You have been listening to a Coffee Break Languages production for the Radio Lingua Network. Copyright 2022 Radio Lingua Limited. Recording copyright 2022 Radio Lingua Limited. All rights reserved.